terrifying frame. Emotionless stare. Brutal knockouts. Who is this real-life version of Ivan Drago? Welcome, fight fans. Today we uncover Sergei Pavlovich and what makes him so special, and where did he come from, and why he will most likely become the interim champion of UFC's heavyweight division this Saturday. Sergei Pavlovich was born on 13th of May 1992 in Rostov-on-Don, a city in Russia's south. Sergei grew up in a modest, ethnically Russian family and began training in Greco-Roman wrestling when he was 5 years old. He kept up his wrestling training all the way up to graduation. After enlisting in the Russian army, Sergei, due to his physical gifts and wrestling pedigree, was drafted into VDV, which are Russia's elite airborne parachute troops, trained to parachute behind enemy lines and disrupt enemy command as well as conduct recon missions. What are these gifts, you may ask? For one, Sergei is built like a tank, standing 6'3" tall but weighing around 260 pounds. He also has insanely long arms, including having the highest ape index in the UFC. Ape index is the difference between your reach and your height, and Sergei has a whopping index of 9, meaning that he would have a 9-inch reach advantage on a regular human who is 6'3" tall. As for most people, their reach is pretty much the same as their height. Maybe Sergei could have had some success picking up a basketball as well. But we can all agree that knocking someone out is more fun than dunking on them. He is also nimble and quick for his size, so combine all of this together and you have punishing, powerful strikes that come at you from a mile away. During his service as an elite VDV troop is when he received hand-to-hand combat and combat sambo training in addition to his wrestling training. If you'd like to learn about the origins of combat sambo, we have the perfect video for this. Just click on the card appearing now. After finishing his mandatory 1-year service, Sergei did not wait too long to try his hand at MMA and began fighting in 2014 at the ripe age of 22. Sergei began terminating people's chins in the promotion called Fight Nights Global. This promotion is well established and known in Russia, albeit having some controversy, but that's a topic for another day. At just 22 years of age, Sergei Pavlovich debuted in Fight Nights Global against a then 1-1 and a 32-year-old Alexander Derevyanko. A young kid barely old enough to drink in the States is stepping into the cage in one of Russia's best MMA promotions. With the world on his shoulders and all the doubt creeping in, would this be too much for a young Russian lad from a regular family? No, it wasn't too much. He knocked his opponent the out. He fought 10 more times in Fight Nights Global and Eagle FC between 2014 and 2017, terminating his opponent's chins by way of brutal knockouts like this. And this. And this. Now you may ask, Eagle FC? Is that Khabib's league? Yes, it is. Pavlovich is a friend of Khabib, and in Russia he trains with Khabib's camp in Dagestan at Eagle, and in the USA he trains at American Kickboxing Academy, the place in America which Khabib and the crew call home. He only went to judge's decision once during that run, which he won. He was finally given a title shot in Fight Nights against Mikhail Mokhnatkin, who then went on to fight in PFL. Sergei Pavlovich won a unanimous decision and became a champion in MMA for the first time in his career. He then defended his belt half a year later against Cyril Sedelnikov, who now fights in Bellator. This time around he gave out a Pavlovich classic by knocking Cyril out in the first round. Deciding that he cleared out the heavyweight division of Fight Nights Global, Pavlovich finally signs with UFC in 2018. Determined to become the first Russian heavyweight champion of the UFC, Sergei was given a tall task to climb for his UFC debut. The legend Alistair Overeem himself. Perhaps Dana White was trying to fast-track Sergei to a title, which is why he gave him Alistair Overeem. Sergei had all the makings of a popular UFC champion, as he would have the Russian crowd behind him, and due to his fighting style that ends in knockouts rather than boring decisions. This move, however, did not go as planned. Alistair used his kickboxing pedigree and a general experience advantage over Sergei to avoid his early explosions, clinch him up, and batter his body with knees. and later using a beautiful Muay Thai sweep to take Sergei down and finish him. While Sergei wasn't cut from the UFC, this loss definitely meant that he would have to earn his way to the title. And boy, did he. For his next two fights in 2019, Sergei was given opponents much lower in levels of skill from Alsater, and Sergei dismantled them both via a first-round knockout. Unfortunately, due to the virus that we all know about, and the travel restrictions, it would be nearly 3 more years until we saw Sergei back in the UFC octagon. He made his return on a UFC event in London, where he knocked out Dagestan's Shamil Abdurakhimov once again in the first round. Seeing as Sergei improved a lot, and possibly closed the holes in his game which were there against Alistair Overeem, UFC decided to raise the level of competition. For his next fight, only 4 months later, Sergei was given another legend in the heavyweight division, Derek Lewis. The hard-hitting American that has a just-get-up style of grappling defense was supposed to end the hype train on paper. He has already dismantled another Russian heavyweight, Alexander Volkov, who is more experienced and versatile in his combat game than Sergei is. Sergei isn't expected to grapple, and in a slugfest with Derek Lewis, you should usually pick Derek Lewis. Well, not this time. Sergei finished Derek Lewis in the first round as well. To close out the year, Sergei did the same to Tai Tuivasa, the same Tai Tuivasa who just fought a title contender elimination bout with Cyril Gane and hurt Cyril Gane at some points of the fight. Sergei, however, did not struggle at all. Once again, a first-round finish. Finally, for his last fight before this upcoming interim title bout, Sergei was given Curtis Blaydes, another heavyweight contender who, if it wasn't for a flash KO from Derek Lewis, would have probably fought for the title at this point. Once again, on paper, Curtis, being a much better grappler, was supposed to implement the same game plan Alistair used, and clinch up Sergei, take him down, and finish him. None of that occurred. But what did occur is another first-round finish for Sergei. It's like the man is allergic to the second round in the UFC, as none of his UFC fights went to the second round. With John Jones sidelined for injury, Cyril Gane being reluctant to take fights, there is literally no one else for Sergei to fight other than Tom Aspinall. Don't take this as a betting advice, but if Sergei's grappling defense holds up, he will easily finish Tom Aspinall and get the interim belt, and hopefully, John Jones can stop ducking and fight him instead of a 50-year-old Stipe Miocic. And that's a wrap on our exploration of Sergei Pavlovich's incredible journey, from his humble beginnings to becoming a force in the MMA world. We hope you enjoyed this peek into the life and career of this remarkable fighter. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive content on the world of MMA.